There is a saying that familiarity breeds contempt. I'm not sure if that's absolutely accurate, but I do think there is a sense in which familiarity with something stops us looking at it so deeply. We see or hear something and then we just assume that we know what it's all about. And if we don't look so deeply into it, there's always the possibility that we might actually miss something. Well, I think the parable that we hear in today's gospel reading may be one of those sort of things. It's likely that the parable we heard about is very, very familiar to us. It's one of the well-known parables within the church. Certainly for those of us that have been going to church for a few years or maybe many years, it will be quite a familiar one. The parable of the sower and the seeds. And as we will have heard many times before, some of the seed fell on a path, the birds came down and ate that. Some seed fell on rocky ground, shot up, but soon died because the roots really weren't being nourished by the soil. Then there was the seed that fell on the good ground. These seeds sprouted and eventually produced an abundant crop. For some of us, we may have heard that parable so many times that we quite simply just didn't listen. We shut off. We thought we know this one. For some of us, we may have listened and as Christians thought, yeah, I know where I sit on that. I know what kind of soil I am. I'm Christian. I'm the good soil. And we would have felt a sense of comfort, peace. Or we may actually have heard it and once again felt rather unhappy that actually I've just realised that I'm not growing in my faith the way that I wanted to. I'm the rocky ground. But if we're all truly honest with ourselves, and if we open ourselves to listening to those words afresh and thinking about where we are at the moment, this parable can stir up really interesting questions in ourselves. Helpful questions like, how do I receive Jesus' word? Is the soil of my heart rocky or is it good soil? Does it allow Jesus to settle into the very depths of me? Or do I just actually listen to what I'm hearing on quite a superficial level? Do I strive to take the words that I hear to understand their true meaning for me and to act on them? Do I allow Jesus to speak to me at all? Am I willing to sit patiently with these words until I can actually clearly identify what it is they mean to us? And the reason I think it's so important that we listen intently to these words in this passage or any passage, particularly if we think we know it really well, the reason that I think it's important is that if we're truly honest with ourselves and honest with God, we'll probably find that our understanding of that passage changes from day to day. After all, many other things in our lives change for us each and every single day. And the past few months have been an extreme example of living in a dynamic and constantly changing situation. If you're anything like me, you will have had your moods and your feelings changing with each new report on COVID-19 and what's been going on in our country and in the world, with each change in the regulations, with each change to how I have to live and to how I have to work. It's probably the same in your relationship with God. It certainly is for me. Sometimes we may feel really close to God. Other times we may feel further away. We may even wonder, where is God? Particularly when things are difficult, when times are bad. Again, coronavirus may be an example of that. Sometimes we may feel absolutely rock solid and certain in our faith. Other times we may feel slightly less so. Sometimes we may be completely sure of our commitment to God, and other times we may waver in that. And for this reason alone, it's important that each time we hear a passage from Scripture, we allow ourselves to hear the message in a way that speaks to us on that day, in that situation that we find ourselves in at that time. The Bible is a dynamic book. Every time I read a passage, it seems to me to have a meaning in my life that is slightly nuanced by the context in which I find myself, how I'm feeling, what else is going on in my life. And that's because, as I said last week in the sermon, our faith is based on a relationship with God, a relationship with Jesus, not about just following a set of rules or regulations or doing things in a certain way. That is not what our faith is about. It's about a relationship, and relationships are different every day. They're not the same each day. So why should our faith be? And therefore, why should what we read in the Bible mean the same thing to us each time we read it? I suggest it shouldn't. In today's reading, Jesus again is speaking in parables, and once again he has to explain them to people. These are not straightforward stories. These are not straightforward instructions for us. We have to work things out. Our faith is not nearly as simple as many people would like to think it is, or maybe do think it is. And why would it be? After all, relationships are anything but simple. It's reasonably easy to read Scripture. However, to spend time with it, to listen to it, to pray with it, and to see how it speaks into our lives in any given moment, that requires time. That requires a bit of effort. It requires attention, and it requires an open heart. So today I leave you with a question. Will we simply read the Gospel reading or the other readings from Romans and from Isaiah? Will we just listen to the Gospel story and let it wash over us as we hear a familiar story, a familiar parable? Or will we actually take the words to heart, to ponder them and see how they speak to us where we are today, to see how they speak to us in perhaps a new and perhaps a very revealing way? It's our choice. Amen.